Welcome back, folks. I am here with you for another Elite Speaker review, and it is on AEW Dark episode 55, October 6th, 2020. And it was a doozy of an episode. It wasn't better than last week's, but it was still decent for a free YouTube show. Immediately noticed was Ricky Starks is once again on commentary, and there is no Veda Scott to be found. Now I'm wondering, why is Ricky Starks on commentary? He's been on commentary he's been on commentary for like 3-4 weeks now on Dark. Why is that? It can't be that they want him to get better at promos, because he's already good at promos. So it could be due to a story angle to help Taz out when folks that he will inevitably be fighting on Dynamite, he could actually get his shots in verbally or something like that. But I find that curious because I actually enjoyed Veda Scott on commentary. But what do I know? We got our first match though. Kenzie Page with a new look versus Brandi Rhodes. This was obviously to keep Brandi strong going into her feud with Anna Jay of the Dark Order. It was actually decent. Brandi is looking to get her win back here. And both started the match aggressively with some arm drags. Page later strikes down Brandi in the corner. Later, Brandi comes back with strikes and later clotheslines Page twice. She then slaps Page and delivers a stunner and follows it up with her shot of Brandi pump kick for the win. Then, as Brandi is celebrating, Jay strikes her down from behind. And then immediately, not long after this, Red Velvet comes to the rescue of Brandi. And I guess this is to pay back Brandi for saving her from Anna Jay last week post match. So we got a little bit of story building going on Dark. That most people say there is no story going on Dark. Well, yeah, there is. If you open up your eyes, you'll see it. But this continues the Brandi Jay feud, as I said before, and it also sells me that Red Velvet is going to get a spot on Dynamite in the women's division in the future, because she is going to be by Brandi's side, and Brandi is pretty high up in the company, so that's saying a lot. Shall see where this goes. Next match, we had Ray Rosas and Eric Watts versus the Jurassic Express. The Jungle Boy and Rosas starts the match off. Jungle Boy gets an armbar off and later tags in Luchasaurus not long after the match starts. Rosas then goes for a chop to Luchasaurus, but it doesn't work. Luchasaurus tags Jungle Boy back in for an assisted senton, and Watts then tags in and shows his power against Jungle Boy and delivers a fall away slam and delivers another later, and then tags back in Rosas. Jungle Boy then gets a cradle off on Rosas for a 2 count. Later, Luchasaurus runs wild on both after a hot tag, and then later delivers a knee to the face and a choke slam to Rosas for a broken up 2 count. Watts and Luchasaurus then go eye to eye with some strikes and chops, then both knock each other down with strikes. And Rosas takes advantage for a 2 count. Rosas then kicks out of a boot from Luchasaurus for another 2 count. But later, Watts chokeslams Jungle Boy and he gets a 2 count for his troubles and tags back in Rosas, which was the downfall of their team. Jurassic Express later win with the Extinction event to Rosas with a pin as they got the 1, 2, 3. Solid match. Oh, and by the way, I seem to be forgetting the ratings that I'm doing. Kenzie Page versus Brandi gets a 2. And this match gets a 2 as well. Next match, we have Anthony Bowens and Lee Johnson versus the Chaos Project which will be getting a match tonight on Dynamite. Luther and Serpentico will go up against Jericho and Jake Hager of the Inner Circle. This is a match that is many years in the making on a national TV product, with Jericho in the same ring with Luther, his longtime friend, behind the scenes. Should be interesting. Johnson and Serpentico starts the match off as Luther quickly gets involved. He shuts down Lee for a bit and he bounces back. Lee bounces back with a nice dropkick to Serpentico. Bowens later gets the tag and chops Serpentico, then tags back out to Johnson as both suplexes Serpentico for a 2 count. Luther then gets the tag and goes to work on Lee and tags in Serpentico after for a double team. Johnson hits a sunset flip for a 2 count to Luther. Bowens later gets the hot tag and he looks pretty good. Bowens runs wild on both Chaos Project members and he gets a nice unique move off on Serpentico. Chaos Project, though, later win with a double team move to Bowens. The match gets a 2 as well. Next up, we had Hobbs versus Ryzen. And I thought this was pretty good. It was a nice showcase match for Will Hobbs before he goes one-on-one with Brian Cage on Dynamite tonight. Hobbs debuted a new theme here. He got new theme music. The match starts with a shove and a knockdown via Hobbs. Hobbs later gets that delayed vertical suplex off on Ryzen after a plead from Ryzen beforehand. Hobbs then delivers a nice shoulder tackle to Ryzen. This is picture perfect as it earned a replay. Ryzen then comes back to the last Will spine buster for the loss. Will Hobbs picks up the win going into his match. Good stuff. And I give the match a 2. Next match, probably one of the better ones of the night. We had John Silver, number 3 of the Dark Order, versus QT Marshall of the Natural Nightmares, accompanied by Dustin Rhodes. Both lock it up to start. QT takes Silver down with some mat wrestling holds. Later, Silver tackles QT out of the ring. Silver then throws QT into the guardrails on the outside, then later gets him into the ring. Silver tosses QT into a corner, then tackles him and goes for the pin, and he gets a 2 count for his efforts not long after. QT later attempts to counter Silver's chest kicks, but Silver countered into a crossface, and QT got the rope break not long after that. QT then goes for a flying shoulder tackle and later gets a tilt-a-whirl slam for a 2 count. And surprisingly, Silver gets the win with his finisher, which I thought was a great match for Dark. And I give this match it gets a 2.5 to a close 3 for being Dynamite TV worthy. I enjoyed the finish. And I like Silver's finisher. Next matchup, we have Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. versus Cesar Bononi and Ali. Both Pillman and Ali start the match, and Pillman gets off the drop kick for the advantage. Ali and Bononi then wear Garrison down a bit. Bononi then kicks Garrison down and demands that Pillman Jr. get into the ring. He gets the tag. Pillman obliges and he uses his speed, but Bononi attempts to use his power. But Pillman gets the kick off to slow down Bononi. But this only angers him and he keeps bringing it. Bononi then spine busts Pillman. Bononi later slams Pillman into the corner and as he shows his intensity. Garrison later gets the hot tag and he runs wild on both Ali and Bononi. He later uses Ali to spear Bononi, and Pillman and Griff get the win via a double team move. And this was their first ever wins in AEW. So that's a good sign that there could be something in the works for them later. But Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. both get a win as a tag team. I thought this was a good match, and I'll give it a 2, a high 2. Next matchup, we had Skylar Moore versus Big Swole. Both lock it up to start as they trash talk one another. Swole then rapid fire strikes Moore and backhands her not long after that. Moore then stands on Swole and places her foot near her head and uses it to slam Swole's head repeatedly into the mat while using the ropes. Swole later hits a cutter to Moore and then gets her dirty dancing move off on Moore for the win. Swole goes into Dynamite tonight looking strong against Serena Deeb for her one-on-one. I give this match a 2. Next match, we have Matt Sydal versus Michael Nakazawa. This one has some ramifications due to Sydal's botched slip from the turnbuckle at All Out. This was spun into a nice storyline that involved Michael Nakazawa's oil, that he was the one to oil up the turnbuckle, which enabled Sydal to slip. I like that he has a sense of humor about all this, and they are incorporating it into a mini storyline, which spawned from BTE. Nakazawa went face first into the oil pad. Sydal then wipes the turnbuckle off, and Nakazawa pops up and then sprays oil on him as he falls from the turnbuckle. Naka then goes for his thong claw, but Sydal reverses it, but Naka gets his claw off anyways. But Sydal then taps Nakazawa out with a nice looking submission hold, and he gets the win. Mini feud over. Not bad. The match was nicely booked. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it got the job done. I was surprised Nakazawa lost, but I guess this means there's some more stuff in store for Matt Sydal as well. Sydal picks up his first ever win in AEW. Next match, we have Badu versus Eddie Kingston. To start, Badu places something in the corner of the ring. It was like some African-like figure of some sort. Eddie then chops Badu to death, and he delivers a boot to Badu's face. Badu then reverses for a splash into the corner. Eddie then goes for the eyes, but Badu power slams him for a 2 count after. Eddie then hits Badu with a back fist, but he didn't go for the 3 count. Instead, he submits Badu for the win. Badu tapped. This could have some ramifications if AEW was interested in Badu but changed their minds, because he lost by tapping out. Shall see if they continue using him. Post-match, Kingston grabs a mic and he says, "Leave the hard cam on, please." He doesn't care about the people here. What you just saw was a Kimura lock. He says Mox probably tapped out to it a couple times. He says, "You left us behind, Mox. You're supposed to take us with you to the promised land. Where's Mox at now? Where's the world champ? Where is he? The world champ is all we want to be. Mox, I'm going to mess you up, and he's going to have so much fun doing it." Eddie says, "You little bitch." And that was the end of the promo. Now, I would be surprised if they keep Eddie after Mox at this point, because it's just going to result in another loss. I don't think Eddie can afford any more losses while he continues to tough talk, because he's got to back it up on the grand stage on TV. So I don't think Mox is losing that title till Full Gear. And that's going to be to whoever wins the 8-man singles tournament. And I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be Kenny Omega. I don't think Lance Archer is going to win the title, but it should be a good match. They're just going to have to find a way to protect Lance Archer coming out of that match. So I don't think Mox is going to lose anytime soon until late November. Kingston going after Mox, I don't think it's a good idea, but we'll see what they do. Next match, we had a co-main event, and it was Angelico of TH2 with Jack Evans versus Sean Dean, who has looked promising since his start in AEW. Both lock it up as Angelico wrist locks Dean, but Dean kips up and gives it back to Angelico. Dean later gets off a dropkick to Angelico. Angelico gets a hold on Dean, but he makes it to the ropes for the break. Angelico kicks Dean in the back of the head and gets a 2 count for it. Angelico then gets a unique hold on Dean. Dean later gets a German suplex on Angelico, which fires him up. He then gets a drop kick to Angelico in the corner. But later, Angelico then gets a nice submission hold on Dean, which forces him to tap out. Angelico gets another singles win, which is pretty nice. And this will help because both Angelico and Jack Evans, TH2, will be facing the tag team champs on Dynamite tonight, which I don't think they're gonna win, but it should be a nice, cool match because they need some TV time. They need to be used more frequently as well. But we'll see what happens here going forward. Then we had the main event, the Lucha Brothers versus Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. To start, both Janela and Kiss hit stereo topes on the Lucha Brothers not long after they entered the match. Phoenix then gets a tope of his own on Janela, Kiss, and Penta on the outside. Lucha Brothers then gets a double team move to Janela's ass, which Taz calls the Yam Bag City. Janela and Kiss hits drop kicks to Phoenix after Janela tags in Kiss. They then get an assisted moonsault for a 2 count. Lucha Brothers then hit a Cazadora into a splash for a 2 count. Penta went for a package power driver, but Janela escapes to a Kiss hot tag. Kiss then hits a 450 for a broken up 2 count, I believe. Phoenix then hits a rolling cutter, followed by a Pentagon's package power driver for the win. The Lucha Brothers remain strong, as they are with Eddie Kingston and his familia. All that tough talking didn't matter for Janela and Sonny Kiss. And that's how we ended AEW Dark. It was a solid episode. Let me know what you thought of it down below, and feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you like what we're doing here. I'll catch you later with the Dynamite review. Stay tuned for that, and I will see you then. Peace.